In the heart of the Galactic Union, leaders from many alien worlds gathered in a dark chamber lit by glowing blue lights. Their voices were calm, but their eyes were filled with fear. There was one growing problem: humans. Humans had spread faster than expected. In just a few decades, they had built peaceful colonies, powerful ships, and strong alliances. Other species, who had once ruled the stars, now felt threatened. But war was risky. The humans were too clever and brave. So the council chose a different plan. They sent Zilara. She was the most beautiful and skilled diplomat in the galaxy. Her body had been designed to be perfect. Her mind trained to twist emotions, gain trust, and win without using violence. Many kings, generals, and even cruel warlords had fallen under her charm. No one ever said no to Zilara. But this time, her mission was different. She was told to go to Earth's outer colony on planet Varela 7 and meet Commander Jace Monroe, the leader of a growing human settlement. He was known for his calm judgment and unshakable loyalty to his people. Her goal was simple: win his heart, influence his choices, and make him give up Earth's plan to expand further into alien space. Zilara stepped onto the colony's platform, dressed in a long, shimmering cloak. Her silver hair glowed in the sunlight, her violet eyes calm but sharp. Everyone who saw her gasped or looked away in awe. But not Jace. He stood straight in his dark uniform, eyes meeting hers without fear. He did not bow. He did not compliment her looks. He simply said, "Welcome to Varela 7, Miss Zilara. We hope your stay will be peaceful." Peaceful? She almost laughed. This man had no idea what she was truly here for. Zilara's days began with meetings, her nights filled with soft talks by candlelight. She wore dresses meant to tempt, smiled in ways meant to break walls. But Jace stayed the same: polite, respectful, distant. She touched his arm once while discussing trade. He gently moved it away, saying, "Let's focus on the agreement, not each other." No one had ever done that before. No male. No ruler. Not even a machine. At first, Zilara thought he was resisting on purpose. She doubled her efforts. She laughed more, asked personal questions, praised his kindness. But when he didn't respond the way others did, a strange feeling started to grow inside her. She wasn't angry. She was confused. She began to listen more. Jace talked about Earth not as a place of power, but of family and memory. He told her about growing up near rivers, helping his mother plant trees, watching the stars with his father. These weren't tactics or tricks. He wasn't trying to control her. He was just being real. Zilara didn't know how to handle real. In her world, everything was a game. Every word had a hidden meaning. Every smile had a price. But when Jace smiled, it felt warm. One night, while watching the twin moons rise over the hills, Zilara asked softly, "Don't you find me beautiful?" Jace looked at her, eyes kind but steady. "Yes," he said. "But beauty means nothing if the heart is cold." That line hit her harder than any laser blast. She turned her face away, pretending to admire the view, but inside she felt something. Twist. She wasn't used to rejection. But this wasn't rejection. It was something deeper: honesty. That night, she didn't write her full report back to the Galactic Union. She only sent a short message: "Progress is slow. The human is different." Days passed. Jace invited her to help with the community garden. At first, she thought it was a joke. She was meant to dine in luxury, not dig in dirt. But when she saw the children laughing and planting seeds, something in her chest softened. A little girl with wide eyes and dirt on her nose ran up to her and gave her a flower. "You're pretty," the girl said, "but you look sad." Zilara froze. That night, alone in her room, she looked in the mirror for a long time. Was she sad? Was she losing control? Or was she finally waking up? She remembered her training. Use their emotions. Never let them use yours. But now her emotions were no longer tools. They were real and confusing. This mission was supposed to be simple. Charm the human, report back, control the outcome. But Jace was different. And now she was starting to feel different too. The galaxy had sent her to charm a human. But something had already begun. And she didn't know how to stop it. The human who wouldn't fall Zilara had charmed warlords, turned rebels into lovers, and brought entire planets to their knees with a smile. But this human commander Jace Monroe was becoming her greatest failure, and somehow she didn't hate it. She couldn't stop thinking about his quiet strength, his steady voice, and how he made her feel like more than just a tool. The Galactic Union had warned her. Humans are dangerous not because of their weapons, but because of their hearts. At the time, she thought it was just strategy talk. But now, she was starting to understand. Jace wasn't immune to her charm, he simply saw through it. One evening, during a diplomatic dinner, Zilara wore a deep blue gown that shimmered like starlight. Her every step was designed to catch attention, every glance practiced for perfection. She leaned close to Jace, whispering, "You know, if I were on your planet, I'd be considered irresistible." Jace didn't flinch. He simply replied, "Respect doesn't come from appearance. It comes from choices." Zilara blinked. She wasn't used to conversations that didn't follow her lead. The other alien delegates at the table watched the exchange with confused faces. To them, she was power made flesh. But this human didn't. He challenged her. And worse, he inspired her. Later that night, she found herself alone in the garden, sitting on a stone bench. A warm breeze moved her silver hair gently across her face. She tried to focus on her report but couldn't type a single word. Her mission was slipping, not because she failed, but because she was changing. For the first time, she asked herself, "What do I really know about humans?" Not just from books or training or recorded behavior, but from standing beside one. From watching how he speaks to the workers, how he eats slowly, never wasting food, and how he always listens. One morning, a communication came from the Union. The message was clear. If he resists charm, move to control. We need access to Earth's expansion plans. Use your body, your voice, your influence. No more delays. Zilara closed the message without replying. A few days later, something strange happened. An alien trader who had been rude to Zilara suddenly collapsed at the main gate, his lungs poisoned. Jace rushed to help, even though the man had insulted him earlier that week. He carried him to the infirmary and stayed by his side until the antidote worked. When it was over, Jace turned to Zilara and said, "Even if someone doesn't deserve kindness, we show it anyway. That's how we stay human." Zilara's heart ached at those words. She'd never known kindness without purpose. Every gift she ever gave had a goal. Every hug was part of a plan. But Jace, he was different. That night, she stood outside his quarters. She didn't know why. She had no plan. She just wanted to talk. But before she could knock, the door opened. "You okay?" Jace asked, seeing her standing there silently in the dark. She nodded slowly. "I don't know why I came." He stepped aside and let her in without asking more. She sat down. They shared tea. Talked about stars. Talked about loneliness. Talked about nothing. When she left an hour later, nothing had happened. But everything had changed. Zilara couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. She couldn't lie to herself anymore. She didn't want to control Jace. She wanted to understand him. And the worst part, she didn't want to return to her people. Back in her room, she opened the communication pad and stared at the message from the Union. Her fingers hovered over the keys. But instead of sending an update, she whispered to herself, "What if I don't finish the mission? What if I stay?" In that moment, Zalara knew she had crossed a line. She had fallen into her own trap, and there might be no going back. Zalara had never believed in weakness. In her world, emotion was a tool, something to shape and control. But ever since she met Jace, something had begun to crack inside her. She no longer felt like the powerful diplomat who could bend kings with a glance. Around Jace, she felt unsure, and for the first time in her life, she liked it. Each morning, she woke up hoping to see him, not for the mission, not for the Union, just to hear his voice, even if it was only a short good morning. She began choosing simple clothes instead of gowns. She joined the workers in the field. She helped children with their books. And every night, when she was alone in her quarters, she wondered, who am I becoming? The mission had started to fade. In her mind, the Union's orders felt cold and distant. Even her own reflection looked unfamiliar now. The perfect alien diplomat was disappearing, and in her place stood someone human. But reality didn't wait for her to find herself. One quiet afternoon, Zalara received a secret message from the Galactic Union, not the usual cold update. This one came from the High Council directly. "Progress is too slow," the voice said. "The human must be dealt with. If charm does not work, use strategy. Earn his trust, then strike. We have sent you a vial. Add it to his drink. He will sleep for 2 days. Enough time to copy his data and return with it. The mission must be completed. You will be honored." Zalara stared at the small silver vial in her hand. It looked harmless, but she knew what it meant: betrayal. She had poisoned before. It had never bothered her. But now her hands trembled. She walked to the window and saw Jace in the courtyard fixing a damaged panel with a few local children watching him. He laughed when one of the boys asked if humans could shoot fire from their hands. "Only if we eat too much spicy food," he joked. Her throat tightened. That night, she was invited to Jace's quarters for dinner. He had cooked something himself, simple earth food with strange names. They sat near a small heater, the light soft and warm. He spoke about his sister back home, how she loved music, how she once sang even during a bombing to keep the kids calm. "I think you'd like her," he said gently. Zalara couldn't speak. The vial sat heavy in her pocket. She reached for the drink, her fingers shaking. But then Jace looked at her and smiled. "Thank you for being here. I don't know why, but when I talk to you, it feels like everything will be okay." She froze. This wasn't part of the plan. She stood up suddenly, walked to the sink, and poured the liquid down the drain. She didn't care if the Union was watching. Turning back to him, she whispered, "I wasn't sent here in peace. I had orders. I was supposed to deceive you." Jace didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on hers. "Why are you telling me this now?" he asked calmly. "Because I can't lie anymore," she said. "Because I think I care." Silence filled the room. The heater's soft hum was the only sound. Then Jace nodded once. "You could have done it, but you didn't. That tells me enough." She stared at him in disbelief. No anger, no rejection. Just quiet understanding. "I don't know what I'm feeling," she whispered. "Maybe," he said, "you're finally feeling something real." And for the first time in her life, Zalara cried. Not because she was weak, not because she failed, but because a human had seen her. Not as a weapon or a threat, but as a person. And that, she realized, was more dangerous than any mission she had ever faced. Asterisk heat of the moment, the air was thick with tension, but not the kind Zalara was trained for. This wasn't the cold silence before betrayal or the sharp edge of political pressure. This was something different, something electric. and it frightened her more than any weapon ever had. A storm had hit Virelis 7. The power grid went down. Across the outpost, winds howled, rain struck like bullets, and communications failed. Protocols required all residents to move into underground safety shelters. Solara didn't wait for guards or assistance. She only searched for one face. She found Jace already inside one of the bunkers, checking equipment by dim emergency light. He looked up when she entered, soaked from the rain, her silver hair clinging to her skin, her breathing shallow. "You okay?" he asked softly. "I didn't know where else to go," she replied. He nodded and handed her a dry blanket. No teasing, no looks of desire, just quiet care. She sat across from him on the floor. The storm above raged, but in the silence of that small space, something more powerful stirred between them. "I should have left days ago," she whispered, staring at the floor. "My people think I've already completed the mission." "And have you?" he asked. She looked up, her eyes full of conflict. "No, I failed, but I don't want to go back anymore." The heater buzzed weakly. The room was cold, but their eyes burned with something deeper. Jace sat beside her. Maybe failure was never the wrong path. Solara laughed softly, bitterly. "You make everything sound so simple." "But nothing is simple for me." "It is," he said. "You're here. You made your own choice. That's what matters." She looked at him in silence, the closeness between them impossible to ignore now. His warmth, his scent, his calm presence, they broke through her defenses like no weapon ever had. Without thinking, her hand brushed his. He didn't pull away, their eyes locked. Solara leaned in first, unsure, trembling. Their lips met, not with passion, but with the gentleness of two souls finding each other in the middle of chaos. The kiss. Deep and not rushed, not planned. It felt like truth. She wasn't a diplomat in that moment. She wasn't an alien or a tool or a threat. She was just a woman, cold, afraid, and finally. Home. Slowed. Later, wrapped in warmth and silence. Solara rested her head against Jace's chest. She had never slept beside anyone without fear. But now she felt protected, wanted, real. But the peace didn't last. That night, as she slipped into sleep, a sharp pain gripped her side. She gasped, clutching her stomach. Something wasn't right. Her skin glowed faintly with violet pulses. Panic set in. She stumbled to the mirror and looked into her own eyes, then down at her stomach. Alien biology didn't react this fast. Her heart pounded. This was impossible. She whispered to herself, "No, this can't happen. It's too soon." And yet, her body was changing. In her home world, pregnancy was carefully planned. Female diplomats were made sterile by design. But something in Jace, something purely human, had broken that rule. Solara stared at her, reflection in shock. The seductress who had been sent to manipulate the human. Was now carrying his child. And she had no idea what came next. Pregnancy wasn't part of the deal. Solara sat motionless on the edge of her bed, her hands resting gently on her stomach. The truth pulsed inside her with every heartbeat. She was pregnant with a human child. A child that should not be possible. A child that should not exist. Her mind raced. Her body, built by alien science for beauty and diplomacy, had never been meant for this. Her creators had ensured it. And yet, Jace had changed her. Not just her mind, not just her heart, but her biology. She didn't know how to tell him. She didn't even understand what it meant herself. The next day, Jace noticed something different. She wasn't talking much. Her eyes kept drifting to the ground. She flinched when he touched her arm gently. "Solara, what's wrong?" he asked, concern in every word. She looked up at him, fighting the tears. "There's something you need to know. And once I say it, nothing will be the same again." Jace didn't speak. He just waited. Xe Lara took a breath so deep it hurt. I'm pregnant, Jace, and it's yours. He blinked once. Then again. At first he thought she was joking. But there was no lie in her eyes, only fear. Jace didn't shout. He didn't panic. Instead, he stepped closer and took both her hands in his. We'll figure this out, together. That single word together was the only thing holding her up now, but the galaxy wasn't going to give them time. That very evening, the sky turned dark with incoming ships. Alien crafts from her own government hovered above the colony. The message they broadcast was short. Diplomat Selara must return immediately. She is under review for mission failure and possible corruption. Corruption, that's what they called her. Love. Selara backed away from the window in terror. They know something happened. They'll take me back. They'll take the child. Jace turned, face hardening. They're not taking you, or the baby. She shook her head. You don't understand. They won't ask. They'll destroy the whole colony if they have to. They can't allow a hybrid like this to exist. The moment the words left her mouth, silence filled the room. Jace picked up his communicator and sent out one message. All civilians, prepare to evacuate. Emergency protocol now. Selara watched him give orders, moving like the leader she had once tried to manipulate. Now she clung to him like the only truth she had left. Where will we go? She asked. Jace looked at her, determination burning in his eyes. Somewhere they can't follow. Somewhere safe for you and the child. But we have to leave now. Suddenly the door burst open. An alien soldier, tall and dark with glowing red eyes, stepped in. Selara, by order of the High Council, you are to be returned. Jace didn't hesitate. He fired once, clean, silent. The soldier collapsed. There was no time for guilt. He grabbed Zelara's hand. We run now. No more hiding. Tears streamed down her face as she nodded. This was no longer about diplomacy. No longer about missions. This was about a human, an alien, and the life growing inside her. And they were about to run for their lives, chased across stars. The stars blurred past the windows of the stolen transport as Zelara sat in silence, one hand pressed protectively against her stomach. She was no longer a symbol of power, no longer a prized diplomat. Now she was a fugitive pregnant with a child that half the galaxy would kill to erase, and the other half would kill to possess. Beside her, Jace piloted the ship through asteroid belts and dead sectors, using old human tricks to avoid detection. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, scanning for threats every second. He had given up everything, his command, his future, even his place among his people. All for her, all for their unborn child. Neither of them spoke much. Words felt small now, but danger wasn't far behind. The Galactic Union had branded Zelara a traitor, not just for abandoning her mission, but for carrying something forbidden. A hybrid child wasn't just a scandal. It was a threat to the balance of power. If humans and aliens could reproduce, alliances would shift, species boundaries would blur, and the old rulers would fall. And the Union would rather burn that future than allow it to live. They sent hunters, silent assassins, interceptors that moved without radar. Selara and Jace barely escaped an ambush on the frozen moon of Lorthan. Another time, they had to trade fuel for food with criminals who demanded to see Zelara's stomach just to believe the rumors were real. Her glow was stronger now. Every time she touched her belly, she could feel life fluttering inside. One night, aboard an abandoned science station orbiting a dead planet, Zelara finally broke. She stood on the platform, staring into space, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted this, she whispered. I never asked for love. I never asked for a child. I was supposed to control you, not fall for you. Jace stepped behind her, wrapping a blanket over her shoulders. "And I never planned to lose everything for an alien who was supposed to betray me," he said gently. "But here we are." She turned slowly to face him. "Do you regret it?" He didn't answer with words. He just took her hand, pressed it against his chest, and whispered, "I'd do it again. 1,000 times." That was the moment she stopped running from who she was becoming. The chase continued planet to planet, moon to moon, but something was changing. Word was spreading. Whispers of a human who chose love over war. An alien who protected her unborn child instead of her career. Soldiers looked away instead of firing. Outlaws offered shelter without asking payment. Even among the stars, hope travels faster than light, but not everyone was willing to let go of control. The High Council of the Union sent a final order: bring the child to us, or destroy it. Massive warship was sent after them, 20 times larger than anything Earth had built. It moved without warning, appearing in the orbit of the neutral planet where Jace and Zalara were hiding. There was nowhere else to run, and the baby was coming. Soon, as alarms rang through the shelter, Zalara gripped Jace's arm, eyes wide. "We can't outrun them anymore." Jace looked at her, then at her belly. "No," he said. "This time, we fight." The final battle was coming, but this time, it wasn't about territory or power. It was about one child, one future, and 2 hearts that dared to love across the stars. Asterisk, the baby who changed everything. The sky above the neutral planet turned red as the massive alien warship descended, its engines screaming like thunder across the valley. People ran, shelters locked down, and soldiers grabbed weapons. They knew wouldn't be enough. But deep inside the mountain bunker, where lights flickered and walls trembled, Zalara wasn't thinking about war. She was in labor. Sweat rolled down her face, her body shaking with pain, fear, and something she never thought she would feel in. A moment like this, hope. Jace held her hand tightly, whispering words of comfort even as the ground shook beneath them. The child was coming. No matter what waited outside, no matter how hopeless things seemed, this moment belonged to them. The hybrid child, a symbol of love, rebellion, and change, was being born. And then, with one final cry, the baby arrived. A quiet filled the room. Not silence, but peace. Zalara stared at the tiny creature in her arms. Warm skin, small fingers, glowing eyes of a soft violet blue. Human and alien, perfectly blended. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Jace leaned in, his voice cracking. "She's beautiful." Before they could even wrap her in a cloth, the bunker doors exploded. Soldiers from the Galactic Union stormed in, weapons raised. Zalara stood protectively over the baby, eyes blazing. "Touch her," she said coldly, "and you will not leave alive." Jace stood beside her, holding his blaster, but it was clear they were outnumbered. Then, something strange happened. The baby, barely minutes old, opened her glowing eyes and looked at the soldiers, and they dropped their weapons. One by one, the soldiers froze. Some dropped to their knees. One whispered, "It's true. She has energy unlike anything we've seen." The glow from the baby's eyes spread, a soft pulse that touched every corner of the bunker. Where there had been fear, there was calm. Where there was hate, peace. Outside, the giant warship faltered. Systems failed. Shields collapsed. The ship's crew, watching the strange signal coming from the surface, no longer wanted to fire. Across the stars, the pulse traveled faster than light. On alien planets, monitors flickered. In secret chambers, leaders paused. Across ships and stations, beings of all species heard the same message: a child has been born. A future has begun. Back inside the bunker, a Union captain slowly lowered his helmet and stepped forward. He looked at the child, then at Zalara and Jace. "Return with us?" he said. Not as a prisoner, but as proof. Proof that peace is possible. Zalara's lips trembled. You would have killed us hours ago. And we would have destroyed ourselves doing it, the captain said softly. Jace looked at Zalara. She nodded. They stepped out of the bunker into the open light, the baby cradled between them. The crowd outside, once ready for battle, now stood in silence. No orders, no violence. Just awe. The baby cooed softly and stars above seemed brighter. Zalara never expected love, never wanted a child. Never planned to betray her own people, but she had. And in doing so, she gave the galaxy something no war or treaty ever could, a reason to begin again.